You are positive that your foot was on the brake?
Absolutely.
I know damn well my feet were on the brakes. Both feet were on the brakes.
The foot was on the brake so hard, Mr. Bradley, that I had a shin splint from pressing so hard on the brake.
And what does Audi say?
We're not saying we can't find anything wrong with the car. There isn't anything wrong with the car.
In the case of the Audi, the company maintains that without a shadow of a doubt, the drivers themselves are causing these accidents. Do you believe that's true?
No, sir, I do not.
Dr. Paul Ast of the American Standards Testing Bureau, which looks into all kinds of defects. He says Audi's electronic computer system may be the culprit. For instance, in some Audis, he thinks a part called an idle stabilizer, which keeps enough gas going to the engine, is being fooled into sending too much gas to the engine. Which means the car would surge forward?
Yes, sir, or in reverse, depending on what gear you have it in.
Whether your foot is on the gas or not?
That's correct. Because this system totally bypasses the accelerator pedal. You have no control of it. It is totally automatic.
But the question is, why wouldn't Audi be able to find the problem themselves?
It's a very elusive thing. It can cause a transient malfunction in the computer, and it may not happen for the next 10 years.
But wouldn't you see some kind of internal damage afterwards?
No, sir.
Could it be that an electrical failure, a failure in the electrical system could have caused that?
We don't believe so. This is one of the things.
Now, I know you don't believe so,
Yes.
but is that possible?
We don't believe that it is possible.
If it's not possible, then how do you explain what happened to this woman? Her accident appeared to follow the usual pattern.
And I had my foot lightly on the brake when it just flew.
And you are positive that your foot was on the brake?
Absolutely.
But when they took the car to the local dealership, sure enough, the local Audi mechanic admitted that the idle stabilizer, the very same part that Dr. Ast suspected could fail, did fail. And the couple's private mechanic says the Audi service manager went even further and told him that might have caused the car to surge. So the car would have been revving at a higher speed.
Correct.
Who told you all of this?
Service manager.
Audi admitted that there was a faulty idle stabilizer on the car, but they still say the accident, the case of sudden acceleration, happened because she stepped on the gas instead of the brake. But if that's true, why is Audi sending a letter to its customers saying it wants to replace idle stabilizers? The letter, sent to thousands of Audi owners, says it wants to replace certain idle stabilizers, not for safety reasons, but merely to meet the latest specifications. Without the change, the letter goes on to say, irregular engine idle might cause unsatisfactory car performance.
That is a secret recall.
Dan Howell of the Center for Auto Safety thinks Audi is trying to make a safety change without having to admit it.
Why would they replace the idle stabilizer valve if it didn't have something to do with safety, and in fact, if it didn't have something to do with this very problem?
But the question is, why might Audi be reluctant to reveal the problem if they had their own suspicions?
They've got themselves a bit up against a wall, haven't they? Because they've been telling the Department of Transportation and the public that there's nothing wrong with these cars. If they turn out now that they were wrong, then their credibility in terms of their ability to build a fine engineering art vehicle, I think, is affected.
Since Audi won't believe anything other than the driver is to blame, it still maintains that the so-called shift lock will solve the problem. If after the shift lock is installed and these incidents continue to happen, what will you say then?
We think it's going to work. It's very difficult to speculate about things in the future. We think the safety shift lock device will work, and if it doesn't, we'll look at the situation then. But we're convinced that it's going to work.
Mr. Hutchinson better have his look now, because shortly after Audi started to install the so-called safety devices on its Audi 5000s, this car surged into the truck. Just last week, this car smashed into a tree when the driver backed out of his garage. Another Audi 5000, 2 weeks after having the shift lock put in, shot into another car. All of this leaves several unanswered questions. For instance, if the hundreds and hundreds of accidents were the fault of the drivers, and the new shift lock would stop them from mistaking the pedals, why did 3 accidents occur just after the devices were installed? And there's another nagging question. Why isn't Audi offering the new shift lock on its other cars, say the Audi 4000? Is it because drivers can't make the same mistake on that car? Whatever the answers, Audi still maintains that it has put its best engineers to work, and they have concluded there is nothing wrong with the Audi 5000. So that if Audi says today, we've looked at it and there is no problem, you just don't believe them?
Absolutely not. I don't believe them for one moment.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has declined any comment. It says it is currently conducting a formal defects investigation. About accidents that occurred after having the shift locks installed, Audi says in 2 cases the shift locks were installed improperly. In the third, Audi says it was the driver's fault. About the interview with the mechanic who said he was told a bad idle stabilizer could have caused an Audi to surge out of control, Audi says the tests were faulty. Audi continues to maintain that the defect is not in the car, it's in the driver.